Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today is another Marvel Rivals concept day. This was a suggestion from the YouTube comments from user Anakin Skywalker 8085, who wanted to see my version of Kitty Pryde and Lockheed in the style of Marvel Rivals. Kitty Pryde, most famously known as Shadowcat, is a mutant and a longtime member of the X-Men. Her mutant abilities involve being able to shift the density of her own body in order to pass through objects, aka phasing. She can also extend this ability to other things, seemingly, as long as she is touching it. Now, Kitty Pryde has had a lot of rather different comic looks, which reflects the many changes in her personality and character over the years. I was introduced to her character and the X-Men as a whole through the animated show X-Men Evolution and the Fox movies. And those versions of her character are the ones I'm most familiar with. I think most people's vision of the character is also from that era, with her Shadowcat identity and the typical X-Men uniform. But I decided for this design to not align with that era of the character. The design I based mine on is from the Marauders comics. With the introduction of Krakoa to Marvel Rivals, I think this is the version of the character that fits in well with the timeline of the lore and the other characters. So Kitty, who actually goes by Kate at this point, is unable to enter the newly established nation of Krakoa through the portals, and is forced to enter another way. She basically has to enter by ship, and goes on to become the captain of the Marauder, as well as the Red Queen of the Quiet Council of Krakoa. I'm gonna be real honest, I am no expert on the comics in general, and I'm even more removed from the recent shift to the Krakoan age. So if you want to know more about this era and storyline, I'm sure there are other people who can explain it much better than I ever could. I'm just basically paraphrasing from the Marvel Fandom Wiki. But for the actual design, Kate has kind of like a pirate look in this era, so I referenced a lot of pirate cosplays and designs. The coat lapels are meant to resemble the black and yellow X-Men uniform, and of course I still included some X iconography and shape language where I could. Also, during my research into the character and the various designs, I learned that Kate had her knuckles tattooed with the words, "Hold fast." Now, I thought this was pretty random and kind of tacky, but I also read that her character was going through a lot of changes, so sure, I guess. I couldn't bring myself to actually incorporate those tattoos into my design, but I still found it funny enough to include in some way, so I decided to make them brass knuckles with an engraving instead. A lot of the comic artists during this era were giving Kate some really beautiful curly hair, like in her very first comic design, which I thought would be great for the design silhouette, and I would love to see more variety in hair textures in Marvel Rivals. And honestly, I didn't think that hard for Lockheed's design. I just drew a pretty generic dragon. This might be a hot take, but I really don't care much for Lockheed. He's just kind of there, like decoration. But he goes well with the pirate aesthetic, like a glorified purple parrot. Also, Lockheed is supposedly like a pet to Kate, but he is also apparently a fully sentient alien that can speak English, who abandoned his species and his fiancée? Okay, so that comic might be more comedic in nature, but still, it's kind of weird, right? Anyway, let's take a look at the final render for this design. I just realized this is a second character named Kate that I've done for this Marvel Rivals series. I did Kate Bishop a couple weeks ago. If there is a character you want to see me draw in the style of Marvel Rivals, leave a suggestion in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram and Blue Sky at Kaylinverse to see more of my work. Support me directly through Ko-fi with donations or by buying the downloadable phone and desktop wallpapers. I also have some sticker designs on Redbubble and high-quality art prints on my imprint store. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.